If you're just joining us, we're going to go ahead and get started in just a few minutes while we wait for everyone to hop on. But thanks for joining us this evening. All right, it looks like most guests have joined us. So good evening, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for our second session of the Tennessee Family Series. We are so excited that your student has decided to become a Vol, and we cannot wait to welcome you and your student to our Tennessee family. My name is Johnny Logue. I work with the Office of New Student Orientation, and tonight we will be talking about community building and leadership with some of our fantastic UT staff members. Before we go ahead and begin, I'd like to ask our panelists to introduce themselves and share what office they'll be representing.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Pruitt. My pronouns are he series, and I am the director for multicultural student life. Pleasure meeting you all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Frinkle. I use she, her pronouns, and I currently serve as an assistant director in the Jones Center for Leadership and Service, and I'm excited to talk to you all today.
Hey everybody, my name is John Keith. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the director of the Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life here at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and it's a pleasure to get to spend some time with you tonight.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bonnie Johnson. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the director of the Pride Center here on campus. I echo my colleagues that I'm excited to be with you tonight.
I know they're excited. We're excited to get your questions answered. So family members, you are welcome to enter them in the Q&A below. We have a slide posted about how to find that Q&A feature. We just ask that tonight you keep your questions related to tonight's topic on community and leadership, and that you don't resubmit your questions so that we don't get our question feed backlogged, so that we can make sure that we are spending our time efficiently this evening. We promise we will get to as many questions as possible live here on screen. And if we can't answer them live, we have a team working behind the scenes to answer them in the chat. So you can find those responses in the All tab or your My Questions tab as they're answered. And then finally, as we wrap up this evening, we will share the contact information for each of the offices represented tonight. So you are welcome to reach out to them directly with any additional questions. So without further ado, panelists, I have a question for all three of you. As we think about helping students build community on campus, what UT traditions should students look forward to participating in?
So as a newer Vol, I will definitely say students, you have to experience homecoming. It is like no other. The campus is teeming with alumni, current students, and community members. It's a celebration. It's an opportunity to connect. And I like to call it a bridger type event, because you're bridging the past with the new. So I would definitely say homecoming.
All right, so I'll piggyback off of Anthony. I think that even to expound that a little bit, I think just game days here in the fall semester is just a really special place to be. Being able to walk around campus, to see everybody decked out in their orange, representing the Vols. You know, this past season was a fantastic one, and we're getting ready to take it to even higher heights this season, knock on wood. And so I think that, you know, just being on campus on a game day, it's just infectious. Everybody is cheering on the Vols, and it's definitely a special thing to be a part of.
I would say that Torch Night is a really awesome opportunity for students to participate in. And it's been going on for a really long time. And it's a great way to kind of kickstart your fall semester and learn, what you've just gotten yourselves into and experience the UT community and your class specifically.
I'll have to throw in either Lady Vols basketball. I'm biased. I'm a basketball fan. Or painting the rock. Maybe it's because we just painted it last week for Pride Month, but I think it's my favorite UT tradition where you can spray paint, but for good. And it's in an area where you're encouraged to spray paint. So where in life do you have those other opportunities?
We have so many traditions on campus. Those are just a few, and we are so excited for your student to start joining us in some of those traditions. So we'll go ahead and get started with some individual questions. Natalie, my first question is for you and the Jones Center for Leadership and Service. Can you tell me what is Ignite and why might a student want to participate in Ignite?
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. Ignite is kind of what we like to call in our office your first volunteer experience with the Jones Center for Leadership and Service. It's a really awesome way for students to kind of get involved, build community before classes start. You will kind of get to build off of, you get to know the campus, you get to know fellow students, you get to do a little bit of leadership development and figuring out more about who you are before you start this really big transition and this really big journey at UT. You get connected to upperclassmen, so you get to lead with two team leaders, and so they can kind of help guide you as you start this transition at UT. And then you also get connected to a faculty or staff member as a facilitator as well. So it's a really great way to get connected, kind of ease some of the anxiety of starting at UT. It's a big place and kind of gives you the ability and the tools that you need to be successful and get started on the right foot.
Awesome. Thank you. John, my next question is for you and the Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life. If a student is interested in being part of Greek life and joining a sorority or fraternity, are they able to get involved in other things, or is that just kind of their only option for getting involved?
That's a great question. And so actually we encourage being involved in as many things as you have the desire to do. Sorority and fraternity life is definitely a space where for a lot of students, it is kind of their introduction to being involved on campus, but it shouldn't stop there. We pride ourselves on our chapters being comprised of members that are active and engaged citizens. And so whether that's volunteering through the Jones Center for Leadership and Service, whether that's taking student worker positions on campus, whether that's being involved in other clubs or organizations here. It is always very great when I walk around campus and I'm able to see a member of the Greek community that's plugged in all these different arenas. And so I can say that while that might be your introduction, the goal is to make sure that you're plugged in as much as you'd like to be. And it's absolutely something that you can balance and that we strongly, strongly encourage.
Thank you, John. Anthony, my next question is for you and the Office of Multicultural Student Life. Can you tell me a little bit about the Multicultural Mentoring Program and how students can sign up for that?
Absolutely. So the Multicultural Mentoring Program, or MMP, really provides kind of personal support, assistance, social guidance, and a connectedness to resources for first year students from underrepresented populations. And we do that by developing activities and interactions. We pair them with upperclassmen. And really, it's a way for them to kind of navigate their first year at Rocky Top. So we are still accepting applications. We will be accepting applications until August the 1st. And I'll put the link in down in the chat. And then for those that are selected, we will have a special night where we kind of do a mentor-mentee reveal.
That is awesome. Thank you. And then Bonnie, my question for you in the Pride Center is, what type of events are typically hosted by the Pride Center?
So that's a great question. All of our events are centered in our three values: connection, education, and empowerment. If it's not all three, because you can learn and have fun at the same time, it's at least one of them. Some of our signature programs include our Friendsgiving community dinner that we host every November with our campus partners, Multicultural Student Life on this call, as well as the International House. We host lavender graduation every year for our graduating LGBTQ plus and ally students. We also have a peer mentoring program that I'll probably have a plug for you later in this session. We host our campus educational series, Safe Zone at UT, a reading group, seasonal events, a little bit of everything. So I wish I could take this whole session to tell you every single one, but you'll have to check out our website for more.
Sounds like there will be plenty to do come August. Natalie, my next question is for you. We have a student who has already signed up for Ignite, so we are wondering when they can expect to receive their final details about their upcoming session.
Yeah, we send out emails through a newsletter platform called Emma, and those details come 2 weeks before the session starts. If you register after that 2-week session, our staff does their best to kind of send that as quickly as possible if you've signed up within that 2-week window from when program is starting. But if you didn't receive it, maybe check your spam, search for the Gen Center for Leadership and Service, search the word Ignite, and read through the email in its entirety, and it should give you all the information that you need.
And then I have a follow-up question for you. Can transfer students participate in Ignite, or is it just for first-year students?
Nope, for incoming students and transfer students as well. We believe that the program will give students the experience and tools they need to be successful, whether they're first year or a transfer student as well, and you'll get so much out of it either way.
Thank you. John, for students going through recruitment, how important are letters of recommendation for these students to maybe get a bid from the chapter of their choice?
Awesome. So I do want to clarify. So this is specific to Panhellenic sorority recruitment. And so recruitment happening for our interfraternity council happens during the same period of time, but letters of recommendation are needed. And then the intake process for our culturally based organizations, so our Multicultural Greek Council and our National Panhellenic Council have different requirements, but they do not participate in formal recruitment in the same ways that IFC and Panhellenic do. And so for our Panhellenic organizations that require those letters of recommendation, it really varies. There are actually a lot of groups that no longer even accept letters of recommendation. And so there's not even any place that you would be able to turn that in. Whereas for there are some that, it is still encouraged. And so all of that information can be found on Panhellenic's website. And so if you were to go to utkpanhellenic.com and click on the recruitment tab there, it actually lists which organizations do request or still accept letters of recommendation. You'd be able to get that information there. That is something that is also listed in the Panhellenic View Book. As students interact with the social media, both for UTK Greek Life as well as the Panhellenic social media, if you click on the link in the bio, there's actually links to all of those sites that I just referenced where you'll be able to find more in-depth information. And so, for the groups that do still accept it, it isn't necessarily going to be the end all be all. But again, the majority of our organizations no longer even collect letters of recommendation. On the flip side to that, though, Johnny, I will add that during the recruitment registration process, if you would like to submit an academic letter of recommendation, you do have the ability to do so. And the instructions for that are listed in the campus director where you would register for formal recruitment.
Thank you. That is very helpful. Anthony, I know we asked Bonnie what events the Pride Center offers, so I would love for you to tell us a little bit about the events that the Office of Multicultural Student Life offers, specifically some of your signature events.
Absolutely. So I'm always super excited to talk about some of our signature events. In fact, when students get on campus, the first event that we will have, really it's a community and campus event, is our Welcome Back celebration. It's the day before classes start on the 22nd. It's a huge event. We block off the street. We have music, we have food, and we have campus and community partners that come out and tell you a little bit more about their organizations or about their business. And it's a great opportunity to meet some other amazing individuals. Our office also hosts Frice and Fridays, so it's a great opportunity, kind of refreshers once a month to come out with some of our student organizations, kind of hang out, grab some food, play some games, have a good time. Of course, homecoming, we have our MMP pageant. We host a comedy show as well as Stomp Fest. And then, of course, we partner with some of our campus partners for some fun tailgating experiences that weekend. Another really good signature event that I like to highlight, we have a Black Issues Conference as well as Diversity Dialogue Symposium. Those are events where campus again and community can kind of come and learn about the theme or the topic selected. So those are a few things. We also have our Frights and Art series. So if you are not necessarily an art major, but you love creating, we have an opportunity to let you shine. You can do that in our art gallery. We'll also curate some events, some poetry events, as well as some musical events or some opportunities for students to kind of shine. So those are a few. And of course, if you're interested in some of our other events, you can go to our website, multicultural.utk.edu, or check out our social media. And I'll make sure we include those in the links below.
Awesome. Thank you. Bonnie, if a student is looking to get involved with the Pride Center, how would they go about doing that?
So we have a lot of different ways to get involved. It's really a spectrum of experiences. So you can first start by just coming and hanging out. So we're a campus department. We host programs, but we're also a physical community space on campus. I always put in a plug that we have comfy couches. We always keep our Keurig supplies stocked. So it's a really good place to, even just in between classes, come and stop by, chat with folks. We have one-off programs, so maybe things that were smaller events planned by our student workers. That is another kind of like low effort. Maybe if you have anxiety and you're nervous about talking to somebody, it's a good way to stop in. We also have program series that if you're really looking to get involved and stay involved, whether it's our LGBTQ plus focused reading group that we host every semester or the aforementioned peer mentoring program that we have. Really, I really encourage folks to just come and hang out. Like, you don't have to be a member of the LGBTQ plus community to come to the Pride Center. I think that's a really big myth. We're welcome to everybody that can be respectful and welcomes others.
Thank you, Bonnie. So as the Tennessee Volunteers families, it shouldn't come to a shock to you, shouldn't be a surprise that we encourage volunteering on our campus. So Natalie, could you please tell us about the types of volunteer opportunities available to some of our students?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a platform in our house in our office called Serve UTK, which is a campus-wide community engagement platform for students, faculty, staff, and community partners to all use. And so that's going to be a great place for students to find volunteer opportunities. We have over 150 nonprofit agencies onboarded onto our platform, posting thousands of volunteer opportunities in a given year. So lots of opportunities for students to volunteer, youth development organizations, environmental organizations, food banks, things like that. So wide variety as well. I would really recommend everyone checking out Serve UTK to find your volunteer opportunities. On top of that, you can also start tracking service hours. So students are not required to track service hours at the institution. However, as the Tennessee Volunteers, like Johnny mentioned, we do encourage it, and we think that it's a really important part of the UTK experience. And so I would encourage everyone to start tracking their service hours. And if you serve over 100 hours in the community during your time at UTK, you can request a service medallion to wear at graduation, which is super fun, and about 25 hours a year. So we highly encourage everyone to do that as well.
Thank you. John, I've got a few questions for you, but we will start with this one. If a student has already registered for recruitment, when can they expect to hear more details about the schedule or what that process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So well, I guess we don't know if it's fraternity recruitment or Panhellenic recruitment. So the timelines kind of vary a little bit based on which council that we're talking about. If it is Panhellenic recruitment, then they will be contacted in July by their Gamma Chi's, which are recruitment counselors. They're actually going to receive some information regarding where to meet their Gamma Chi's prior to the start of recruitment, and they'll receive all that information via email. And so in their registration, they did receive a number of communications in terms of the potential new member health and safety module that they'll need to complete. And they can consistently log into Campus Director, and they'll be communicating via that portal. So I would recommend doing that if it's for fall primary recruitment for the Panhellenic Council. For the Interfraternity Council, it's going to be much of the same. They will be contacted by not just the IFC recruitment team, but different chapters will also let them know about different events that are happening during the summer to invite them to some of those if they happen to be around. But they will essentially just look to the start of recruitment for the Interfraternity Council, which will be beginning. So their move-in will be happening on Tuesday, August 15th. And then later on that evening will be an activity, and then recruitment will begin in earnest that Wednesday, the 16th. And so all the information that they'll need will be covered during those orientations that happen there for the Interfraternity Council. If there are any questions in particular about recruitment dates or any of those breakdowns, those things can be found on both the OSFL website, as well as if they go to each individual council's social media. There are breakdowns for registration deadlines, as well as breakdowns for the individual days and the rounds. And so I would recommend students checking that out. But also, if it's possible, I will give you guys a link to The Torch, which is an online publication that we have created for the Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life, which is all inclusive. It has information about all of our Greek organizations, but it also breaks down those recruitment processes. It talks about what to expect each individual day. It talks about, attire for the different days, as well as when's the deadline for registration. And so happy to pop that in the group as well for people to be able to see.
Thank you. My second follow-up question, you hinted at it a little bit, but for students participating in either sorority recruitment or fraternity, do they have to move in early?
Sorry, I'm muted. It's like we haven't had to use Zoom for years. So the answer to that would be yes. We would recommend that you go on ahead and do that. So for students that are registered for either IFC recruitment or Panhellenic recruitment by the priority registration deadlines, they are guaranteed an early move-in appointment for housing that takes place prior to the start of recruitment. Now, that's not to say that you have to be moved into campus in order to participate in recruitment. However, there is the opportunity that your move-in appointment will conflict with the time that you are moving, or that potential round is happening during recruitment for either IFC or Panhellenic. So what we would strongly encourage is that you register by those priority application deadlines. The primary registration deadline for Panhellenic is June 23rd. And the date for IFC, if you give me just a second, that priority registration deadline for IFC is July 1st. As long as they are registered by those dates, you will be guaranteed an early move-in appointment so that your move-in does not conflict with the recruitment rounds. You can still register for recruitment after those days. So for Panhellenic, registration closes July 15th. IFC registration goes up until August 15th. So you can still register and participate, but just know that there may be some conflict with your move-in appointment versus rounds that are happening on campus that day.
Thank you so much. Anthony, if a student is interested in joining a student organization, maybe housed under the Multicultural Student Life, could you tell us about some of those and what is open for students?
Absolutely. So we have the Office of Multicultural Student Life hosts 12 student organizations, and we have an affiliate organization specifically for graduate students. But some of our organizations include our Asian American Association, African Student Association. We also have our Black Cultural Programming Committee, Brothers United for Excellence, Latin American Student Association, NAACP, our Native American Student Association, our Caribbean Student Association, et cetera. Some of our organizations, especially newer ones that we're really excited about, is our Multicultural Outdoor Club. Brand new organization, but if you are into outdoor experiences, whitewater rafting, paddleboarding, hiking, whatever, it is there. We will have an opportunity once the semester starts for students to come over and check out some of our student organizations, or during that welcome back celebration, you can actually meet some of our student organization members, get information and learn more about them. Also, you can log into Vol Link. Not exactly sure if you all are familiar with that yet, but Vol has a list of all of our student organizations as well as campus events. So once your student gets the credentials, they can log into that and kind of search organizations depending on their interest.
Thank you so much. I know we talked a little bit earlier about the Multicultural Student Life Mentoring Program, but Bonnie, I know the Pride Center also has a mentoring program. So would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our mentoring program, very boringly named the Pride Center Peer Mentoring Program, is really based on this idea that some of our older volunteers, we prefer to call them seasoned volunteers, it can be wise and well-adjusted to campus at any age, especially as a transfer student. But we match our kind of incoming students or our transfer students with students who have been on campus for a minute to help get adjusted. So our campus has, I believe now over 30,000 students. We're a very large campus. It took me a really long time as an alum of the university. It took me to coming back as a staff member to understand how huge it can be and how sometimes it can be really hard to find your communities, like-minded people, or just how to navigate campus, whether it's using the buses, going to events, what even is Vol Link, like Anthony mentioned. So our program's really geared towards helping our new students get acclimated to campus, get familiar with the resources, have fun, make friends, go to Dollywood, that sort of thing. There's more information on our website about it. We're accepting both mentors and mentees, including the students who may be listening to this call, or families. If you're worried about your student making friends, encourage them to sign up for this. It's a really great way to, again, not only have fun and get connected, but also build your leadership skills as well.
Thank you so much. My next question is maybe for Natalie and John. We got a double question for you. So if a student has signed up for Ignite in August, but then they also might be interested in either joining a fraternity or sorority, is it possible to do both?
Natalie, do you want to go, or I saw the smile, so I was like, go ahead, go for it.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, my understanding, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you're signed up for an August Ignite session, you cannot participate in both the August Ignite sessions and then Panhellenic or IFC recruitment. Those dates will conflict. If you wanted to change a session, if you were already registered for Ignite, we do still have spots for our Ignite 865 session from June 25th through June 27th. So you'd still have the opportunity to experience Ignite and have that community building and leadership development experience even before recruitment. And then that's the way that you can do both. But unfortunately, our Ignite dates do conflict and you cannot do, or our August dates do conflict and you cannot do both.
Yep, you knocked it out the park.
All right. Well, Natalie, we'll go back to you then. Can you tell us a little bit about the Vol Breaks program and how students can sign up for those?
Yeah, this is a really awesome program that was started over 30 years ago by a group of students who just wanted to go volunteer after there was a natural disaster down in Florida. And that's kind of been the foundation of what we're doing today. And so these are opportunities, really immersive community engagement experiences for students to travel to different communities over their fall, winter, or spring breaks in small groups led again by other student leaders and a faculty or staff member. And you engage in really immersive service experiences. You do some education around the topic that the trip is focused on. So all trips are focused on some sort of issue in communities. So it could be youth development, it could be food insecurity, it could be like homelessness crisis, things like that. And kind of exploring those issues in another community. And hopefully the students are having experiences that are inspiring them to come back to Knoxville and create change and stay involved in those issues upon return. So it's a really great way to kind of get educated, but also do some service, meet new people. And I cannot speak highly enough about that program. It is really impactful for students who get to participate in that program.
Awesome. Thank you. We've got a little bit of a deeper question for you, John. What type of policies are in place at the university regarding hazing on our campus?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So the university has a zero tolerance policy for hazing. And so we absolutely do not tolerate it in any form, shape, or fashion. What I would say, however, is that, we are not able to be at all places at all times. And so it really does take a collaborative effort of not just university officials, but also members that are going through joining processes as well as their families. Whenever we are made aware of anything that is contrary to our policies, our procedures, or who we are as an institution, we take those things absolutely seriously. Our Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards investigates even anonymous reports of hazing. And so in the event that you are afraid to come forward and you just want to make sure that somebody is aware of what's going on, and you submit that report via either our website or through the student conduct website, those things are going to be investigated. We take that with the utmost seriousness. But again, it really does take a village. And so what I would like to say is that in order to combat and eradicate hazing, it's going to take all of us to be committed to making sure that our volunteers are having positive joining experiences. And I invite all of you to join me over the course of this next year to make sure that our members are having safe and positive joining experiences, becoming members of our great community.
Absolutely. Thank you for expanding on that. Anthony and Bonnie, I'll ask you both the same question, but Anthony, feel free to start. If a student is looking to come and find your space on campus, where is that located?
Okay, so we are located at 1800 Melrose Avenue. So it's conveniently located right next to Hess Hall and also Fred Brown Residence Hall. So right in the smack dab of both of those residence halls. You can also pass Hodges Library. We're right up the hill, right across from St. John's Catholic Center. So I think a convenient location on campus, especially in the midst of some of the residence halls. It's a little trick though, but.
So the Pride Center is located in the Student Union building. We're also in the same side of the Student Union as our colleagues downstairs, the Jones Center for Leadership and Service and Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life, as well as our Family Engagement office right across the hall. So the Pride Center, as well as Family Engagement, is located on the 3rd floor of the Student Union in phase 2. We're suite 373. Again, come check us out. We, like I said, have all the supplies and all the fun.
Thank you both. We will be excited to visit you in August. Natalie, we're coming back to the vol break. So is that program just in Tennessee, or does it involve traveling to other states as well?
Yeah, so I'm sure, shocking to no one, the COVID-19 pandemic really changed the way that we do these experiences. But prior to that, little event that we all experienced, we were traveling out of state. We did flying trips. We did a flying trip to Arches National Park one time. We did a flying trip to Austin, Texas, exploring immigration policy. We've also done driving trips as close as Asheville, North Carolina, to Nashville, Tennessee. And so, to long answer to your question, everywhere. I think as we're ramping back up following the pandemic, we're staying mostly in the Southeast or mid-Atlantic region, but hopefully going to be going back to doing some locations like Arches and some flying trips in the near future as well.
Thank you. John, if a student decides they've registered for recruitment, they decide they want to join, but then last minute, going through the process, they decide it might not be for them. What does that look like? What does that process look like if maybe they decide they don't want to join a fraternity or sorority?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the whole purpose is that we want to make sure that you are finding something that you feel like is your home away from home, a good fit. And so every year we have students that decide that they want to go through the process, not quite sure of what it's about, and they just want to see. There is no obligation for you to join a fraternity or sorority when you participate in recruitment. It really is an opportunity for you to see what is out there and figure out whether or not you can see yourself in one of those groups. At the end of the day, if at the conclusion of that process you don't quite feel like you've clicked with any of those organizations, you do have the opportunity to decide at that point that you want to withdraw from recruitment. Recruitment captains for the Interfraternity Council, as well as the Gamma Chi's for the Panhellenic Council, will have conversations with you. They'll find out, whatever they can do to help support you in making that decision. And then they'll also point you in the direction of other offices that you can potentially get involved with. And so one of the things that we do every year, particularly for those students that have decided that they're not interested necessarily in being in a sorority or fraternity, is that we share those names with other campus partners that have student organizations or clubs that they can become a part of, so that because you've already expressed that you're interested in finding some community here on campus. And so how can we make sure that you get plugged in with something that you feel like really kind of resonates with you and is more in line with the experience that you're looking for?
Thank you. Anthony and Bonnie, I've got another dual question for you. Are there any scholarships associated with your offices?
Absolutely. So at the end of each fall semester, we open up the Carl Scholarship, Carl Cowan Scholarship, for any student to apply for. And then we have a committee that actually reviews and accepts recipients for that. Information about the Carl Cowan Scholarship can be found on our website. And then we also will send it out via our newsletter so students can know when to apply.
We also have scholarship opportunities at the Pride Center. So I'm really happy to share that just this past spring, we launched our inaugural scholarships through our scholarship fund. We were able to award 5 students $1,000, $500 for each fall and spring semester. We're going to be taking applications for the next cohort of scholarship recipients starting in the spring. So either check out our website, follow us on social media, or join our newsletter to get the latest updates so you can get your application in early.
Thank you both. Natalie, so going back to volunteering, we talked about it earlier. There's a way to log hours. We briefly discussed this, but can you tell me a little bit more about how we log our hours, if students are required to log hours, and how early can they start logging their hours?
Yeah, all great questions. And so in terms of when you can start logging hours, we recognize hours through our Ignite program because we do service with Ignite. But outside of that, it's the first day of classes and kind of when you start your journey as a UTK student is when you can start logging hours. And again, the platform that you can log hours with is called Serve UTK. You can Google that and it'll kind of populate our platform. Your student should be able to log in as soon as they get a net ID and password. And the language that's used on the system is a little bit confusing, but it's called an impact. And so really it's kind of tracking how our students are impacting the community around us. But you can impact the community through your time, through donated goods. Our OSFL communities do a lot of philanthropy. They can track that on the system as well. And so lots of opportunities for students to kind of have a picture of how they're engaging with the community and again, how they're impacting it. But the platform is called Serve UTK, and you go on, and if you register for an event through the system, your impact will automatically get added to the site. But if you're serving on your own, maybe not through the calendar that we have on the website, there's a really easy way. There's a button that just says add impact. And you just fill out the information about where you served. Someone from the nonprofit organization will need to verify it. We want to make sure that we're approving the hours that students have actually served. And that's kind of it. And then you have a really great way to pull a transcript of all your service hours as well directly through that platform. It's a really comprehensive tool that we've invested in the last year, and we're really excited about it. It's a lot to learn, and you can always stop by our office if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to help when the students are here in August.
And can you just remind us or share with us where your office is located?
Yeah, absolutely. We are located also in the Student Union on the first floor across from the auditorium, and we get to share space with our friends in the Office of Sorority and Fraternity Life. So I'll take that one for John too, that you can stop. And we have a front desk for both sides, and the front desk workers can kind of point you to which side. But we're in the first floor of the Student Union, Suite 193, across from the auditorium.
Thank you for clarifying that. John, are there any academic expectations for members in a fraternity or sorority? And if so, is there any additional support offered to these students to help maintain and meet those expectations?
Yes, absolutely. So all of our organizations have GPA requirements for their active members. Many of those organizations also have GPA requirements in order to become an initiated member into the organization. And so, our groups are definitely those that pursue and promote academic excellence, as well as civic involvement, community service, and philanthropy. And so this is definitely a group that is very, very much aware of what it takes in order to be successful academically, and pushes their members to do that. And so I think that we are the 11th semester in the row, if I'm not mistaken, of the Greek community's GPA being higher than the unaffiliated student GPA. And that just goes to show, I think, the dedication that exists in the Greek community to make sure that our students are performing well in the classroom. With that in mind, all of our organizations do offer a variety of different resources, whether or not that's tutoring, whether or not that is providing opportunities for study hours, whether that is connecting people with peer mentors or academic success coaches that exist on campus. And in addition to that, some of the resources that exist in our office. Chapters do grade reports every semester. And so they utilize those grade reports to find out which members aren't necessarily hitting those academic targets. And so then there are plans, academic success plans that chapters turn into us every year, outlining what it is that they're going to do to try to help members get to a particular GPA. And so it does really kind of provide us with really an early detection system, if you will, where there are some additional resources that are unlocked for those members that are not hitting those particular benchmarks in the classroom. And there's an increased focus on making sure that they're able to perform well academically that following semester. And so it very much is a community of support. It's one where, a chapter will come and say, hey, Anthony, we noticed that you didn't necessarily hit the GPA requirement this past semester. And so we want to make sure that we're setting you up with either a tutor or a peer mentor, making sure that this upcoming semester, we're getting you the resources that you need in order to be successful.
Thank you very much for expanding on that. As we have about 15 minutes left, I have another question for all four panelists. So what advice do you have for students looking to build community here at UT and make a large campus feel small?
Well, I like to say that's all of our responsibility is we curate opportunities, experiences, and avenues for students to come together, whether it's through our initiatives or programs, for them to find their communities and find individuals that will make their tenure at Rocky Top a easy one. I like to say. I think that's the best part about what each of us do, is that we connect students to students. So we may have a conversation with a student and say, oh, you're interested in the Lady Vols, for instance. Well, Bonnie is also interested in Lady Vols and is a fanatic. So let me take you to the Pride Center to meet Bonnie. So I like to say we're connectors. And it's what we do. I think we're really good at it. So
I can go. Yeah. I think that putting yourself out there is really important in your first year. It can be really challenging to do that, especially, if a student's an introvert, or maybe they have been used to having a really great community wherever they're coming from. But hopefully there's going to be lots of opportunities to kind of, stop by a table in their first week of classes or walk into one of our offices. We all strive to do our best to create spaces where anyone can walk into. And we want to make sure that students feel comfortable doing that. Doing service is a great way to do it. We have planned opportunities in our office where we provide transportation, and those are called our Vol Serve monthly days of service. And you're again in a small group, and that's a really great way to also build community and people who are hopefully like-minded and share a same set of values of wanting to engage with the community. And I think finding out a little bit more about who your student is, and hopefully they have that opportunity to do some self-exploration and discovery and figuring out what's important to them and finding those communities on campus. Sometimes Googling it can be nice, right? There's so much at UT. It's so hard to find. And so a little internet search, or just stopping by in the student union or in the Frison Black Cultural Center and asking, where can I find opportunities for this? Our Center for Student Engagement is also located in the student union, and they're a great resource for getting students connected and involved, and just kind of walking in and being like, can you help me find XYZ thing? This is what I really love. I really want to find some people this way. And I think that's a really great way to build community, but making sure that you're in alignment with your values is probably something I feel super obligated to say out of leadership development. I think that's obviously something that we focus on a lot, but figuring out who you are and how you want to spend your next 4 years and finding some groups that align with that.
Yeah, I don't know what else to add. I feel like between Natalie and Anthony, I think that they really kind of covered it. I do think that the whole purpose, much to Anthony's point, of our offices is to try to create meaningful connections and to help students feel connected to the institution. And so, we wouldn't be doing our jobs well if we weren't trying to position you all to make Rocky Top feel like home sweet home, right? One of the things that I love about working here at the University of Tennessee, having been at a number of different institutions, is it just feels different here. Even when we have conversations with students after they've gone on tours, when we, walk around campus, and people talk about why the University of Tennessee, it really is this feeling that everybody loves being here at the University of Tennessee. And that's from the chancellor, all the way down to the incoming freshmen, right? And so, my job, Anthony's job, Natalie's job, Bonnie's job is to make sure that you know that you matter and belong. And so any opportunity that we can take to make sure that you're feeling connected, not just to the overall institution, but that you're seeing yourself reflected in our vision as volunteers, is something that's just vitally important to us. One of the things that stood out to me, that I heard mentioned probably about 2 years ago now was, you can't be a bulldog, you can't be an eagle, you can't be a tiger, but everybody can be a volunteer. And so that's something that we all very much take to heart. And it's something that, that volunteer spirit is infectious, and it's something that we can't wait for you to get a hold of.
Okay, well, my colleagues killed it. I would only chime in and say everything they said times 10. I would also say, if maybe advice for parents in here, right? I think we hear a lot of sometimes incoming students. It's like 2 days after they moved in, you just left. Maybe they met their suite mate or their roommate, but then maybe they're texting me, I don't know what to do. I'm bored. I'm scared. And my, I guess, advice is to you families to text them back, call them back and say, have you gotten to talk to anybody you haven't known? Or have you talked to anybody you haven't known? Have you gone to an event? Have you put yourself out there? That's the biggest thing. We have all also been in that position, like a lonely incoming student who's been kind of like thrown out there to make friends. And it can be really scary at first. But like, again, all my colleagues have said, it's literally our job to help your student make those connections. And it's, I would also say, on your student to put themselves out there, say hey to a stranger, compliment somebody's shirt if, again, they also like the Lady Vols or our football team. Making those connections, being brave, taking that next step would be my biggest advice, and encouraging them to do it.
The best advice. Good job, y'all. Natalie, I know we talked about Ignite earlier in this session, but if you could just go over maybe one more time, if a student has registered for Ignite, what they can expect to do, what they might be participating in, and really what they're going to get out of participating in that program.
Yeah, absolutely. So for Ignite, there's 3 main programs, actually. Ignite Outdoors is housed under Rec Sports, and registration is full. I believe they might still have a wait list open if your student is really passionate about the outdoors, maybe considering looking at their website for that. But the ones that are housed truly under our office is Ignite 865 and Ignite Leadership Summit. Ignite 865, as you all might not know, actually, that the 865 is the area code that not for Knoxville. And so we really want to focus on getting students introduced to Knoxville and campus. And so it is our on-campus experience. And so we focus on leadership development, like activities. You'll be in a small group, maybe having some discussions, doing things in some buildings on campus, but also doing some local excursions. I cannot tell you the list of actual excursions they're doing this year. However, in the past, so don't hold me to this, everyone, but in the past, they've looked like maybe going to the zoo, doing a tour of the Tennessee Theater, which is downtown and very beautiful. Kind of paddle boarding was an excursion one year, some things like that. Just trying to showcase Knoxville. We obviously have a ton of resources on our campus that are fabulous. Your student would never need to leave campus, to be completely honest, but they absolutely should, because we have lots of resources resources in the Knoxville community, lots of places to explore, a lot of cool things to kind of improve their overall well-being that are off campus. And so also being the leadership and service office, I want to make sure that I say community engagement is important. And so on top of that, they do the excursions, but they also do community service during 865. And so I believe there's at least 1 3-hour or 2-hour opportunity to serve with one of our local nonprofits. And that can be a variety of tasks. Sometimes it's doing environmental work, maybe some cleanups, some things like that. Sometimes it's going to a food bank, doing some things like that. It really just depends on what our community partners need. And that's a little bit about 865. For Leadership Summit, that's going to be our most camp-like experience. That's kind of the best way that I can describe it. We take students to a retreat center off campus. Still in the small group, obviously. They do a traditions duel. This program, the Ignite program, is, I think like 25 or 27 years old. And so the traditions duel has been happening for a really long time. Think of it like a relay race. So some of those things happen. There's also a challenge course, which we always do believe in challenge by choice. So if that's not your thing, you don't have to do it. But that's kind of some of the activities that happen at Leadership Summit. And again, still those leadership activities, conversations, and things like that to kind of still tie all of our office mission into it as well.
Thank you, John. I know we've talked a lot about joining IFC and Panhellenic sororities and fraternities, but if a student is interested in finding out more about an NPHC or multicultural Greek organization, how can they find out about that process?
Fantastic question. So first thing that I'll state is if you haven't already looked at the torch, which Lindsay posted in the chat, please make sure to do so because the important dates for both MGC and NPHC are listed there. Actually, the first Wednesday of school, the MGC and the NPHC collaborate on an event called Meet the Greeks. And so there's a yard show that happens actually right here in the Student Union on 21st Mortgage Plaza. And so our organizations come, they do a showcase. It's kind of like a meet and greet situation that happens for those groups on the first Wednesday of school. And so think kind of like a block party with some performances, but an opportunity to kind of get to know some people that are a part of those groups. In addition to that, that following week, the National Panhellenic Council, also known as the NPHC, hosts an event known as Misconceptions and Stereotypes, where they talk about the do's and don'ts of pursuing membership in an NPHC organization and also break down the requirements so that you can position yourself well to express interest and begin pursuing your journey into becoming a member into one of those groups. Similarly, that same week, our Multicultural Greek Council hosts an event known as MGC Fest, and that event is one where they do some tabling. They have some signups, and they will point you in the direction where they'll talk a little bit about the history of their organizations and ways that you can express interest in joining those groups as well. And so those would be, I think, 3 of the immediate opportunities that happen within the first 2 weeks of school to really promote those groups. But again, those important dates are all going to be listed in that Torch publication. And so if you make your way to that publication on those pages for MGC and NPHC, you'll see those important dates, the location, and the times listed there.
Thank you so much. And then Bonnie, will you tell us a little bit about the closet and how often it's open?
Oh, yeah. So we also host a program called The Closet. So that's closet with a Q. Q Closet is another way to say it as well. So it's a free casual clothing closet open to everybody on our campus, students, faculty, staff, that focuses on basically free casual clothes and a safe browsing environment. So whether that is a student that just needs a wardrobe refresh, I know I have refreshed my wardrobe several times over these pandemic years, or is just looking for more clothing that aligns with their gender identity, they're able to get it there. So we host them monthly pop-ups, and we're not taking donations right now. We've had a lot of amazing donations as we closed out the spring semester, but again, another great way to get involved and another great resource from us.
Thank you so much. And my last question is for all of you again. As we wrap up for the night, panelists, can you please tell everyone the best way to contact your office if they still have some additional questions following this webinar?
Absolutely. We have an email, leadserve@utk.edu. That's typically the best way to get in touch with our staff. Our front desk will kind of sort those out to where they need to go. Fabulous. And our phone number as well. And then you can always stop by whenever your student's here in the fall. Again, we're in Suite 193 in the Student Union on the first floor.
Much like Natalie was saying, you can contact us at multicultural@utk.edu. And also our phone number is listed on the screen. If you want more information about our programs, initiatives, student organizations, and everything, please feel free to visit our website, multicultural.utk.edu. And then you feel free to reach out and we'll make sure that we get back to you.
All right. And so in the same vein, if you have any questions about our office, you can reach us at greeklife@utk.edu via email. You can also reach us at 865-974-2236. We're here every day. And so feel free to either send an email or give us a call, and we'll make sure to answer any questions that you might have.
Our email is also listed there. I also want to share my personal email. So you see my first name, Bonnie. It's just bonnie@utk.edu. I know with the work that I do in my functional area, not all questions are public questions. So please feel free to consider me your resource if you and your student is considering UT. Thank you.
Well, thank you, panelists, for joining us this evening and sharing a wealth of knowledge and just spending your evening with us. Family members, thank you again for joining us for session 2 of the Tennessee Family Series. Before we conclude for the night, I do have a few quick reminders. We would love if you would take a moment to fill out our session survey. You can follow the link in the chat box below, or you can find it in your post-session email. If you haven't already, please don't forget to complete the guest version of Vol 101. The link is just vol101.utk.edu. And we would also love to stay connected with you and your family, and we encourage you to join the Tennessee Family Association. This will sign you up for emails so you can stay up to date on important information. Thank you again for joining us tonight. We hope you will join us on June 29th for session 3, Health and Wellness. During this session, we'll be discussing the health and wellness services and resources available for your students on campus. Have a great night and go Vols!